It's time again for the Insiders with Chuck Chvala and Scott Jensen, sponsored by the Wisconsin Counties Association and the Tommy G. Thompson Center on Public Leadership.
Hi, I'm Scott Jensen, former Assembly Speaker.
And I'm Chuck Chvala, former Senate Majority Leader.
And we're the Insiders, and this week we're taking a look at the U.S. Senate race. Earlier this year, Democrats were predicting a double-digit win for Tammy Baldwin, and now they're saying she just might squeak by. Chuck, what's changed in this race?
Well, I think you have to own your mistakes, and I was one of the Democrats saying double-digit win, and I think the race has changed. I think that even though polling may not be right on, I think we can say that definitely the distance between Tammy and Kamala has reduced. I still believe, and I think the polling that I pay most attention to would say that she's still a little bit ahead of Kamala, and Tammy, I expect, will win. And it might even be more than what people are seeing in the polls right now. But it has certainly collapsed together. And I think what that is it's really a reflection of the fact that we are so tribal now, that there is not nearly the split ticket voting that there used to be. And definitely, and this is an example of where Tammy and Kamala being two major statewide candidates here, they're going to be a lot closer than what I had hoped and expected, frankly, would be the case. I thought that she could get a 5 to 8% margin beyond what Kamala would have with Kamala still winning. So I think that has changed. I still believe that even though it's a competitive race, and certainly there's been a major investment by Republicans, that we're going to be in good shape with Tammy around the state. She has a lot of time that she's spent in rural communities. She is going to pick up literally vote by vote by vote, quite a few more people who may not be voting for Kamala, but it is not the slam dunk that it used to be. And again, I think it's a pretty, unfortunately, there seem to be no off-base limits in politics. And I think that the ad that's going after Tammy and her partner is really unfair, and it leaves an impression that is absolutely not true. But that's the way that politics is. The good thing is, I think that Tammy's ads have shown her compassion, her empathy, something that I think voters want this year. They vote on emotion, and on top of that, both Tammy and Kamala have the advantage. These are women running on the pro-choice ticket at a point when abortion is going to be a major factor in this election.
Well, I'll say this, it wasn't too crazy for you and other Democrats to say that she was going to win by double digits, because she did last time. But in order to get that race closer, two things had to change. First of all, the spending differential had to change. She was spending 3 times as much money on television as Hovde was. Well, that is unsustainable. You just can't catch up to somebody. You can't make your point if that's it. Well, that has now closed. In this race, they're spending about the same. She's still a little bit ahead, but they're spending about the same each week on television and paid advertising. So that is one key change. The other key change in this race is Senator Baldwin's strategy again and again has been constituent relations, nonpartisan local issues, stay away from the ideological stuff that happens in Washington, D.C. And that's a smart strategy for a progressive Democrat in a state that's 50-50. But now Hovde is out there letting people know what Tammy's views have been on other subjects, what her votes have been. And slowly but surely, they're kind of going, oh, she's just not the person who got the Green Bay Packers on cable television in northwestern Wisconsin, which is the sort of issue that Tammy really likes to use, because who could be against that, right? But now she's having to explain some of the votes she's taken, some of the positions she's taken in Washington that are out of step, I think, with the people of Wisconsin. And so the race is closing. You're also right. This is very much a Jersey election, right? Everybody's doing the double check. Oh, yeah. My candidate is the one with the same jersey on, the same jersey that I'm wearing. So all of that in a 50-50 state, it's coming right down to it. I think the polling shows in poll after poll that this is now within the margin of error, which means you can't say anything about it other than it's a dead heat. I think it's likely, though, that Tammy does still have a little bit of an edge, but there's still a couple weeks to go in this thing.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, you're still going to see, I'm still feeling that Tammy's going to come in at 3 to 5% win. I know Scott would say 5, you're crazy. But I do believe that that is very much within the capability of her. And I think that she has this long history of really doing some great things that I think at the local level, as Scott points out, that will add it to the fact that abortion is on the ballot. I think that Tammy will come through this, but it is a closer race than it was. And I think you have to be honest as a Democrat and acknowledge that and make sure that if you're a Democrat out there, you get out and vote.
Well, with the Republicans looking like they might take the United States Senate and the Democrats having to defend a bunch of turf here, they can't give up on this race, and the Republicans shouldn't give up on this race because it's really, really close, and it makes people reallocate resources not only here in Wisconsin but around the nation. It's going to help determine who the next who's in next majority is in the United States Senate.
And as usual, Wisconsin is in the middle. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to The Insiders with Chuck Chvala and Scott Jensen, sponsored by the Wisconsin Counties Association and the Tommy G. Thompson Center on Public Leadership.